Cultural clash. The year was 2157, and humanity had just taken its first tentative steps into the galactic community. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, Earth's most advanced starship, as it approached the sprawling space station known as the Nexus. The station hung in space like a glittering jewel, its countless lights twinkling against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. Ilara's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. After decades of searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, humanity had finally made contact. The Galactic Confederation, a loose alliance of advanced alien species, had extended an invitation to Earth to join their ranks. As humanity's representative, Ilara carried the weight of her entire species on her shoulders. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions from the Nexus," reported Lieutenant Ravi Patel, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. Ilara nodded, her short black hair swaying with the movement. "Proceed with caution, Lieutenant. Let's make a good first impression." As the Horizon glided towards its designated docking port, Ilara couldn't help but marvel at the diversity of ships surrounding them. Vessels of all shapes and sizes, some organic-looking and others geometric, filled the space around the Nexus. It was a stark reminder of just how small humanity's place in the universe truly was. With a gentle shudder, the Horizon locked into place. Ilara took a deep breath, straightening her crisp blue uniform. "Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Let's go meet our new neighbors." The airlock hissed open, revealing a delegation of alien representatives waiting to greet them. At the forefront stood a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin and large almond-shaped eyes. It, for Ilara couldn't determine its gender, stepped forward, raising a six-fingered hand in what appeared to be a gesture of welcome. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice melodious and androgynous. "I am Ambassador Zilax of the Aurelian Collective. On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, we welcome you to the Nexus." Ilara stepped forward, mirroring the ambassador's gesture. "Thank you, Ambassador Zilax. I am Captain Ilara Chen of Earth. We are honored to be here and look forward to learning from and contributing to the Galactic Confederation." As pleasantries were exchanged, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that some of the alien representatives were regarding her and her crew with thinly veiled disdain. One being, a stocky creature with rough, bark-like skin and glowing yellow eyes, seemed particularly unimpressed. "So," it rumbled, its voice like grinding stones, "these are the primitives who have barely mastered faster-than-light travel. Tell me, humans, what could you possibly offer to our advanced civilization?" Ilara bristled at the insult, but maintained her composure. "With all due respect, we may be newcomers to the galactic stage, but humanity has a long history of innovation and adaptation. We're quick learners and eager to contribute in any way we can." The bark-skinned alien scoffed. "Pretty words, but actions speak louder. We shall see if you can back them up." Ambassador Zilax intervened smoothly. "Now, Grokthar, let's not be hasty in our judgments. The humans have shown remarkable progress in a short time. I'm sure they will surprise us all." As the delegation moved deeper into the Nexus, Ilara and her crew were overwhelmed by the sheer scale and diversity of the station. Alien technologies beyond their wildest dreams surrounded them at every turn. Holographic displays flickered with information in dozens of languages, and anti-gravity platforms whisked beings of all descriptions to various levels of the massive structure. During their tour, Ilara noticed that many of the advanced species seemed to group themselves according to their technological capabilities. The most advanced races, like the Aurelians and the enigmatic energy beings known as the Zhar, kept to themselves, engaging in discussions that went far beyond human comprehension. As they passed through a bustling marketplace filled with goods from across the galaxy, Ilara overheard snippets of conversation that made her blood boil. "Can you believe they let these humans in? They'll probably blow themselves up before they learn to use a proper matter synthesizer. I heard they still use fossil fuels on their home planet. Barbaric. Maybe we can use them for manual labor. That's about all they're good for at this stage. Ilara clenched her fists, wanting nothing more than to prove these condescending aliens wrong. But she knew that lashing out would only confirm their low opinions of humanity. Instead, she focused on absorbing as much information as possible, determined to find a way for Earth to earn its place among the stars. As the tour concluded, Ambassador Xilax led them to a grand chamber where representatives from various species were gathered. The room fell silent as the humans entered, all eyes, or sensory organs, fixed upon them. Esteemed members of the Galactic Confederation, Xilax announced, I present to you the delegation from Earth. They come seeking knowledge, friendship, and a place among us. A murmur rippled through the crowd, not all of it friendly. Ilara stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. Thank you for this opportunity. We may be new to your galaxy, but humanity has faced countless challenges throughout our history and emerged stronger for it. We don't ask for handouts or special treatment. All we ask is for a chance to prove ourselves. The room erupted in a cacophony of voices, some supportive, others skeptical. But before any consensus could be reached, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed and panic spread through the assembled aliens. We're under attack, someone shouted. The Krelax swarm is upon us. Ilara watched in horror as the view screens around the chamber displayed a massive fleet of insectoid ships descending upon the Nexus. Plasma bolts and energy beams lanced out, impacting the station's shields. In the chaos that followed, Ilara saw fear and indecision paralyze many of the alien representatives. Without hesitation, she tapped her comm badge. Chen to Horizon, battle stations, prepared to assist in the defense of the Nexus. As the crew scrambled to action, Ilara turned to the stunned Ambassador Xilax. We may be newcomers, but we know a thing or two about fighting against the odds. Let us help. For a moment, Xilax hesitated. Then, seeing the determination in Ilara's eyes, the ambassador nodded. Very well, Captain. Show us what humanity can do. As Ilara raced back to her ship, adrenaline coursing through her veins, she knew that this was humanity's chance to prove its worth. The battle for the Nexus, and for Earth's place in the galactic community, had begun. The Galactic Tournament. The aftermath of the Krelax attack on the Nexus had left the Galactic Confederation in a state of shock. The insectoid swarm had been repelled, thanks in no small part to the quick thinking and decisive action of Captain Ilara Chen and her crew. The ESS Horizon's unconventional tactics and the humans' willingness to put themselves in harm's way had turned the tide of battle, earning them grudging respect from many of the alien species. As the dust settled and repairs to the Nexus began, Ilara found herself summoned to a high-level meeting of the Confederation's ruling council. She stood before the assembled alien dignitaries, her posture rigid and her gaze steady. Captain Chen, began Xilax, now acting as the voice of the council, your actions during the recent attack were unexpected. You have demonstrated that perhaps we were hasty in our judgment of humanity's potential. Grokthar, the bark-skinned alien who had been so dismissive earlier, grumbled reluctantly. Your species showed courage, I'll grant you that. But courage alone does not earn one a place among the stars. Ilara was about to respond when a new voice cut through the chamber. Perhaps a test is in order. All eyes turned to the source, a being composed entirely of swirling energy, its form barely contained within a hovering containment field. This was crumble, one of the mysterious Tsar, a race so advanced they were nearly mythical even to the other members of the Confederation. A test? Ilara asked, intrigued. Savol's voice resonated directly in their minds. The Galactic Tournament, a competition held once every 1,000 cycles to showcase the talents and abilities of each species. It so happens that the next tournament is due to begin in mere days. Murmurs of excitement and apprehension rippled through the chamber. Ilara had heard whispers of this event during her time on the Nexus, but details had been scarce. Xilax nodded slowly. Yes, the tournament. It is how many species prove their worth and advance their standing within the Confederation. But to allow a species as new as humanity to compete, why not? Serval's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. If they are truly worthy of a place among us, let them prove it. All eyes turned to Ilara. She felt the weight of expectation pressing down on her, but she refused to buckle. "We accept," she said firmly. "Whatever challenges you set before us, humanity will face them head-on." And so it was decided. Over the next few days, as news of humanity's participation spread throughout the Nexus, Ilara and her crew worked tirelessly to prepare. They pored over what little information they could gather about past tournaments, trying to anticipate the challenges they might face. The morning of the tournament arrived, and Ilara led a small team to the vast arena at the heart of the Nexus. The space was filled with representatives from hundreds of species, all gathered to compete or spectate. The air crackled with excitement and tension. Serval's energy form hovered at the center of the arena, addressing the assembled beings. "Welcome, representatives of the Galactic Confederation, to the 10,000th Galactic Tournament. Here, you will be tested in body, mind, and spirit. The challenges you face will push you to your limits and beyond. May the most worthy emerge victorious." The first challenge was a test of physical prowess, a grueling obstacle course that twisted and turned through different gravitational fields and environmental hazards. Ilara watched as beings of all shapes and sizes tackled the course, each using their unique physiologies to their advantage. When it was humanity's turn, Ilara's team faced skepticism from the crowd. How could these soft, bipedal creatures hope to compete with beings who could fly, shapeshift, or manipulate gravity? But as the humans began the course, their adaptability shone through. Lieutenant Patel used his rock-climbing skills to navigate the low-gravity sections with ease. Ensign Maria Rodriguez, a former gymnast, twisted and flipped her way through anti-gravity zones that had stymied even the most agile alien competitors. Ilara herself faced a section of intense heat that had forced many contestants to withdraw. Drawing on her experience growing up in the scorching Australian outback, she pushed through, her determination earning gasps of admiration from the crowd. By the time the humans completed the course, they had posted a respectable time, finishing in the middle of the pack. It wasn't a victory, but it was far from the humiliating defeat many had expected. The second challenge tested mental acuity and problem-solving skills. Competitors were presented with a series of increasingly complex puzzles and equations, many dealing with advanced scientific concepts that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Here, Ilara's diverse crew truly shone. Dr. Amit Patel, the ship's chief scientist, tackled theoretical physics problems that left even some of the more advanced species scratching their heads. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka, an expert in xenolinguistics, deciphered alien languages and codes with astonishing speed. Ilara herself faced a strategic simulation that pitted her against an AI opponent in a complex, multi-dimensional game of conquest. Drawing on her years of tactical training and her innate ability to think outside the box, she emerged victorious, earning humanity its first top-tier finish in a tournament event. As the day wore on, the challenges grew more diverse and demanding. There were tests of cultural understanding, ethical decision-making, and even artistic expression. Through it all, the humans held their own, never finishing first, but consistently proving they could compete at this galactic level. But it was the final challenge that would truly define humanity's place in the cosmos. As the contestants gathered for the last event, Serval's energy form pulsed with anticipation. The ultimate test, the Zhao intoned, is one of cooperation and unity. You will be divided into teams, each composed of members from different species. Together, you must face a threat that can only be overcome through perfect synchronization of your diverse abilities. Ilara found herself teamed with Grokfar, the bark-skinned alien who had been so dismissive of humanity, a jellyfish-like being named Slob, and a creature of living crystal called Crystal, an unlikely group, to say the least. As the final challenge began, a massive holographic simulation engulfed the arena. The teams found themselves on a planet on the brink of destruction, facing a runaway chain reaction in its core that threatened to tear the world apart. Ilara quickly assessed the situation, her mind racing. Grokthar, your species can withstand intense pressure. You need to descend into the planet's crust to manually adjust the tectonic stabilizers. The bark-skinned alien bristled at being ordered by a human, but saw the logic in her plan. He nodded gruffly and began his descent. Zlob, Ilara continued, your gelatinous form can insulate the planet's electromagnetic field. Spread yourself around the equator to contain the energy surges. As Zlob oozed into position, Ilara turned to Crystal. Your crystalline structure can refract and redirect energy. We need you to channel the excess core energy into a controlled release through the planet's poles. Crystal chimed in agreement, her facets glowing as she began to focus the planet's chaotic energies. With her team in position, Ilara took on the role of coordinator, using her tactical skills to direct their efforts and adjust their strategy as new complications arose. It was a delicate balance, requiring split-second decisions and perfect trust in her alien teammates. As the simulated planet shuddered and groaned around them, Ilara's team worked in harmony, their unique abilities complementing each other in ways none of them had thought possible. In the final moments, as it seemed their efforts might not be enough, Ilara made a bold decision. Everyone, channel your energies through me, she shouted. I'll use our combined strengths to make one final push. In that moment, as alien energies coursed through her human form, Ilara felt a connection to the universe she had never experienced before. With a primal cry, she released the combined power of her team, stabilizing the planet's core and bringing the simulation to an end. As the holographic world faded away, the arena erupted in cheers. Ilara's team had not only completed the challenge, but had done so with a level of cooperation and innovation that left the judges awestruck. Breathing heavily, Ilara looked at her alien teammates. Grokthar's yellow eyes met hers, filled with newfound respect. Zlob rippled with what she assumed was joy, and Crystal's facets shimmered with admiration. As the final scores were tallied, humanity found itself in a position few had thought possible at the start of the tournament. While they hadn't won outright, their consistent performance and exceptional showing in the final challenge had earned them a solid place in the middle ranks of the competing species. Savol's energy form pulsed brightly as the Jar addressed the arena. The tournament is concluded. All have demonstrated great skill and determination, but one truth stands out above all. Our greatest strength lies not in our individual abilities, but in our capacity to work together, to combine our unique talents in the face of adversity. The energy being turned to Ilara and her crew. Humanity, you have proven yourselves worthy of a place among the stars. Your adaptability, your innovative thinking, and your willingness to cooperate with those different from yourselves make you a valuable addition to our galactic community. As cheers filled the arena, Ilara felt a swell of pride. They had done it. Humanity had earned its place in the cosmos, not through dominance or advanced technology, but through the very traits that had allowed them to survive and thrive on Earth for millennia. But as she looked out at the sea of alien faces, some beaming with admiration, others still skeptical, Ilara knew that this was just the beginning. The real challenge, finding humanity's role in this vast, complex galactic civilization, was yet to come. Unexpected alliances. In the weeks following the Galactic tournament, the status of humanity within the Confederation underwent a dramatic shift. No longer dismissed as primitive newcomers, Earth's representatives found themselves a subject of intense curiosity and, in some cases, admiration. Captain Ilara Chen and her crew became minor celebrities on the Nexus, with aliens of all species seeking them out to learn more about humanity. However, not everyone was pleased with this turn of events. As Ilara made her way through the bustling corridors of the Nexus one day, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Her instincts, honed by years of command, told her that something was amiss. Captain Chen, a voice called out, startling her from her thoughts. She turned to see Grokthar, the bark-skinned alien who had been on her team during the final challenge of the tournament. Grokthar, she nodded, still unsure of where she stood with the gruff alien. What can I do for you? The alien's yellow eyes darted around nervously before he leaned in close. Not here, he rumbled. Meet me in Docking Bay 17 in 1 hour. Come alone, it's important. Before Ilara could respond, Grokthar had disappeared into the crowd, leaving her puzzled and slightly on edge. Despite her misgivings, curiosity won out, and an hour later, she found herself in the deserted docking bay. I was starting to think you wouldn't come, Grokthar's gravelly voice echoed in the empty space. Ilara crossed her arms. I'm here. Now, what's this all about? Grokthar's normally impassive face showed signs of genuine concern. You and your species have made quite an impression, Captain. Not all of it welcome. There are factions within the Confederation who see humanity's rise as a threat to the established order. Ilara's brow furrowed. Are you saying we're in danger? Not just you, Grokthar replied. I've uncovered evidence of a plot that threatens the entire Confederation. A group of extremists from various species who believe that only the most advanced races should have a say in galactic affairs. They call themselves the Purists. As Grokthar laid out what he knew, Ilara's mind raced. The implications were staggering. If what he was saying was true, the stability of the entire Confederation was at risk. Why tell me this? Ilara asked, suspicious. Not long ago, you were one of our biggest critics. Grokthar's bark-like skin creaked as he shifted uncomfortably. Your actions during the tournament, they made me reconsider many things. Your species may be young, but you possess qualities that some of us have forgotten. Adaptability, creativity, the ability to unite despite differences. We need those qualities now more than ever. Ilara considered his words carefully. If this was a trap, it was an elaborate one. And if it wasn't, the consequences of inaction could be catastrophic. What do you propose we do? She asked finally. We need proof, Grokthar replied. Hard evidence of the Purists' plans. I have a lead, a secret meeting taking place on a remote outpost in the Andromeda Galaxy. But I can't investigate alone. I need help. The unspoken request hung in the air between them. Ilara knew that agreeing to this could jeopardize humanity's newly earned standing in the Confederation if things went wrong. But the potential threat was too great to ignore. All right, she said at last. I'm in, but we do this my way. I'll need to bring a small team I can trust. Grokthar nodded, relief evident in his posture. Agreed. We leave in 6 hours. I hope your species is as good at covert operations as you are at obstacle courses. As Ilara left the docking bay, her mind whirled with plans. She needed a team that balanced skills and discretion. Lieutenant Ravi Patel for his technical expertise, Ensign Maria Rodriguez for her agility and quick thinking, and Dr. Amit Patel for his scientific knowledge. It would be a skeleton crew, but a capable one. 6 hours later, the mismatched group of humans and one bark-skinned alien found themselves aboard a nondescript transport vessel, heading towards the outer reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy. The journey was tense, filled with hurried explanations and hasty planning. As they approached their destination, a small, asteroid-like planetoid on the fringes of a dying star system, Ilara addressed her team. I know this mission isn't exactly sanctioned, and the risks are high. If anyone wants to back out, now's the time. Her crew's faces showed determination and resolve. They were with her, come what may. The planetoid's surface was barren and pockmarked, its thin atmosphere barely breathable. As they made their way towards the coordinates Grokthar had provided, Ilara couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. There, Grokthar whispered, pointing to a rocky outcropping. A barely visible seam in the rock face indicated a hidden entrance. As they approached, a sudden movement caught Ilara's eye. "Down," she hissed, pulling Ensign Rodriguez behind a boulder just as a patrol of heavily armed aliens rounded the corner. The group held their breath as the patrol passed, their strange, chitinous armor unlike anything Ilara had seen before. Once the coast was clear, they made their way to the hidden door. "I can bypass the security," Lieutenant Patel whispered, his fingers dancing over a hidden control panel. With a soft hiss, the door slid open, revealing a dimly lit corridor carved into the rock. As they crept through the winding passages, the sound of voices grew louder. They found themselves on a ledge overlooking a vast cavern, where dozens of aliens from various species were gathered. At the center stood a tall, serpentine being with metallic scales that shimmered in the low light. "My fellow purists," the serpentine alien hissed, its voice carrying easily through the cavern. "The time has come to cleanse the confederation of the weak and unworthy. Our agents are in place. Soon we will strike, and a new order will rise from the ashes of the old." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine as the alien detailed their plans. Simultaneous attacks on key Confederation installations, the assassination of moderate leaders, and the release of a bioweapon designed to target lesser species. "We need to warn the Confederation," Ilara whispered urgently. But as they turned to leave, they found their path blocked. A group of armed purists stood before them, weapons raised. Well, the serpentine leader slithered forward, its eyes gleaming with malice. "It seems we have some uninvited guests. How fortunate that you've arrived just in time to witness the dawn of a new era." Ilara's mind raced, searching for a way out of this deadly situation. As she looked at her team, human and alien alike, she knew that their only hope lay in the very qualities that had brought them this far: adaptability, trust, and the willingness to work together against impossible odds. With a subtle nod to her crew, Ilara prepared to make a stand. The fate of not just humanity, but the entire Galactic Confederation, hung in the balance. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain: they would face it together. The conspiracy unravels. Surrounded by armed purists, Ilara and her team found themselves in a precarious situation. The serpentine leader, who introduced himself as Tsafrak, circled them with predatory grace. "I must admit, I'm impressed," Tsafrak hissed. "Humans, barely out of their stellar cradle, already meddling in affairs beyond their comprehension. And you," he turned to Grokfar, a respected elder of the Arboreal Collective, consorting with these primitives. "How the mighty have fallen." Ilara's mind raced, searching for a way out. She caught Lieutenant Patel's eye, noting the subtle hand signal he was making. He had a plan. "If was so primitive," Ilara said, drawing Tsafrak's attention, "why do we pose such a threat to your pure vision of the galaxy?" Tsafrak's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "You underestimate the danger of unchecked growth, human. Your kind breeds and spreads like a virus, adapting and changing everything you touch. The established order of the galaxy must be preserved." As Tsafrak monologued, Ilara saw Patel slowly reaching for a device on his belt. She needed to keep the purists distracted. "And who decides this established order?" she challenged. "The Confederation was founded on principles of diversity and cooperation. What you're proposing is nothing short of tyranny." Tsafrak's eyes narrowed. "Tyranny? We offer salvation, a galaxy free from the chaos of lesser species, guided by the wisdom of the truly advanced." Suddenly, Patel made his move. He activated the device, and a high-pitched whine filled the cavern. The purist's weapons sparked and sputtered, rendered useless by the electromagnetic pulse. "Now," Ilara shouted. Her team sprang into action with well-practiced coordination. Ensign Rodriguez, utilizing her acrobatic skills, leaped over the startled purists, creating a distraction. Dr. Patel grabbed a nearby console, quickly downloading as much data as he could. Grokfar, his thick hide providing natural armor, engaged the purists in close combat. Ilara herself faced off against Tsafrak. The serpentine alien was faster than she expected, his metallic scales deflecting her blows. But Ilara's combat training and quick thinking kept her in the fight. "You cannot stop what's coming," Thrax spat as they grappled. "The purists have agents throughout the Confederation. Even if you escape here, our plan will succeed." Ilara, spotting an opening, swept Thrax's legs out from under him. "Maybe," she grunted, pinning him down. "But not today." With the element of surprise on their side, Ilara's team managed to fight their way out of the cavern. They raced through the winding corridors, the sounds of angry purists echoing behind them. As they burst out onto the planetoid's surface, Lieutenant Patel called out, "Captain, I signaled the ship. It's on its way, but we need to hold this position for 3 minutes." Ilara nodded grimly. "Defensive positions, everyone. We're not out of this yet." The next few minutes were a blur of action. Purists poured out of the hidden base, armed with backup weapons. Ilara and her team used the rocky terrain for cover, working together to hold off the assault. Grokfar's strength and durability proved invaluable, as he shrugged off attacks that would have incapacitated the humans. Dr. Petal, though not a combat specialist, used his knowledge of xenobiology to target weak points in the various alien physiologies they faced. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, their ship appeared on the horizon. "Everyone, fall back to the ship," Ilara ordered. As they made a fighting retreat, Ilara saw Thrax emerge from the base, his scales gleaming with lethal purpose. Time seemed to slow as the serpentine alien raised a strange, organic-looking weapon. "Captain, look out," Grokfar bellowed. Without hesitation, the bark-skinned alien threw himself in front of Ilara as Thrax fired. A beam of sickly green energy struck Grokfar, and he fell with a pained groan. Ilara, her heart pounding, grabbed her fallen ally and dragged him towards the ship as Lieutenant Patel and Ensign Rodriguez provided covering fire. With a final burst of speed, they made it to the ship. The engines rolled to life, and they shot into the atmosphere, leaving the enraged purists behind. As the planetoid receded in the viewscreen, Ilara turned her attention to Grokfar. The alien's bark-like skin had taken on a grayish pallor, and he was breathing heavily. "Hold on, old friend," Ilara said, surprise coloring her voice at the depth of concern she felt. "We'll get you help." Grokfar's yellow eyes fixed on her. "No time," he wheezed. "The data, you must get it to the Confederation Council. Warn them." Dr. Patel was already examining Grokfar, his face grim. "Captain, this weapon, it's like nothing I've seen before. It's breaking down his cellular structure at an atomic level." Ilara felt a wave of helplessness wash over her. After everything they'd been through, to lose Grokfar now seemed unbearably cruel. "Listen," Grokfar said, his voice growing weaker. "What I said before about your species, I was wrong. Your adaptability, your unity in diversity, it's not a weakness. It's the galaxy's greatest strength. You must show them." With a final, shuddering breath, Grokfar fell still. The ship's interior was silent save for the hum of the engines. Ilara stood, her face a mask of determination. "Plot a course for the Nexus, maximum speed. We need to warn the Council before it's too late." As the ship hurtled through space, Ilara and her team pored over the data they'd managed to steal. The scope of the Purists' plan was staggering. Sleeper agents had infiltrated every level of the Confederation government. The bioweapon they developed was designed to target specific genetic markers, potentially wiping out entire species deemed unworthy. "This is genocide on a galactic scale," Dr. Patel said, his voice shaking. Ilara nodded grimly. "And we're the only ones who can stop it. But will the Council believe us? We've broken about a dozen Confederation laws just getting this information." Lieutenant Patel spoke up, his eyes never leaving the ship's controls. "Captain, we're picking up multiple distress signals. Confederation outposts all over the galaxy are reporting attacks." Ilara's blood ran cold. "We're too late. They've already started. As the Nexus came into view, the true scale of the crisis became apparent. The massive space station was a battleground. Ships of all sizes exchanged fire, and entire sections of the Nexus were dark or damaged. This is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth ship Horizon. Ilara broadcast on all frequencies. We have critical information about the attacks. Request immediate audience with any available Confederation leadership. For a tense moment, there was no response. Then, a familiar voice came through the comm. Captain Chen, this is Ambassador Zilax. The Council is in emergency session. Your timing is fortuitous. Dock at Bay 42. I'll meet you there. As they maneuvered through the chaos surrounding the Nexus, Ilara steeled herself for what was to come. They had the information, but would it be enough? And even if they could convince the Council, was it already too late to stop the Purists' plan? One thing was certain, the fate of the galaxy now rested on the shoulders of a handful of humans and their alien allies. It was time to prove that humanity's place among the stars was not just earned, but essential for the survival of all. Humanity's stand. The Nexus was in chaos as Ilara and her team made their way through damaged corridors and panicked crowds. Ambassador Zilax met them at the docking bay, the Aurelian's usually serene features marred by worry. Captain Chen, we don't have much time, Zilax said, leading them through a series of secure passageways. The Council is in disarray. Many of our leaders have been assassinated or are unaccounted for. As they hurried along, Ilara briefed Zilax on what they had discovered. The ambassador's iridescent skin paled as the full scope of the Purists' plan became clear. By the cosmic core, Zilax whispered, if what you say is true, then nowhere in the Confederation is safe. They arrived at the Council chambers to find a scene of heated debate and barely contained panic. Representatives from dozens of species argued loudly, their translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony of alien languages. Zilax raised a hand, and a hush fell over the room. Esteemed colleagues, I present Captain Ilara Chen of Earth. She brings vital information about the attacks. All eyes turned to Ilara. She felt the weight of countless alien gazes upon her, some curious, others hostile. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. Members of the Confederation Council, she began, her voice steady. The attacks you're witnessing are not random. They are part of a coordinated assault by a group calling themselves the Purists. Their goal is nothing less than the complete restructuring of galactic society, eliminating all species they deem unworthy. Murmurs of disbelief and outrage rippled through the chamber. Ilara nodded to Dr. Petal, who projected the stolen data for all to see. This is the evidence we've gathered, Ilara continued. It details the Purists' plan, including a list of sleeper agents embedded throughout the Confederation. The chamber erupted into chaos as councillors recognized names on the list, trusted advisors, military leaders, even fellow council members. Accusations flew, and for a moment, it seemed the council might tear itself apart. Enough. A booming voice cut through the din. Savol, the energy being from the Galactic tournament, pulsed with barely contained power. Fighting amongst ourselves is exactly what the Purists want. We must unite if we are to survive. Ilara seized the moment. Savol is right. The Purists believe that diversity is a weakness, that only the most advanced species deserve to shape the galaxy's future. But they're wrong. Our diversity, our ability to work together despite our differences, that's our greatest strength. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes, or sensory organs, of each council member. Humanity may be new to the galactic stage, but we've faced extinction-level threats before. We've learned that it's only by working together, by combining our unique strengths, that we can overcome the impossible. A tentacled being Ilara recognized as Admirals Cathar of a Confederation fleet spoke up. Pretty words, human. But what do you propose we actually do? The Purists have infiltrated every level of our society. Trust has been shattered. Ilara nodded, acknowledging the challenge. We start by using the list we've acquired to root out the known purist agents. But more importantly, we need to come together as a united front. The purists are counting on chaos and division. Let's show them how wrong they are. Over the next few hours, Ilara and her team worked tirelessly with the council to formulate a plan. As reports of more attacks flooded in, they coordinated a galaxy-wide response. Ilara's tactical experience proved invaluable as they organized fleet movements and evacuation protocols. Dr. Patel collaborated with xenobiologists from a dozen species, racing to develop a countermeasure to the purists' bioweapon. Lieutenant Patel's expertise in alien technologies allowed him to bolster the Nexus's defenses and establish secure communication channels across the Confederation. As the immediate crisis stabilized, Ilara found herself in a strategy session with the highest-ranking military leaders left in the Confederation. Admiral Scathar's hologram hovered over a star map, highlighting purist strongholds. "We've managed to contain their advance," Scathar reported, but was spread thin. "We need a decisive strike to end this rebellion once and for all." Ilara studied the map, an idea forming. "What about here?" She pointed to a seemingly empty sector of space. "All the purist communications we've intercepted have some connection to this region. It could be their central command." Savol's energy form pulsed with interest. "That sector is home to an unstable pulsar. The radiation would make it impenetrable to most species." "Most species," Ilara emphasized. "But not all. The Jar could withstand it, couldn't they? And with some modifications, my ship and crew could survive long enough to launch an assault." The alien leaders exchanged looks of surprise and grudging admiration. It was a bold plan, perhaps even reckless, but boldness was what they needed now. Admiral Scathar's tentacles writhed in what Ilara had come to recognize as a sign of approval. "It's a risk, but one worth taking. I'll commit what forces I can to support your attack." As the meeting adjourned, Savol approached Ilara. The energy being's form shimmered with an emotion Ilara couldn't quite identify. "You continue to surprise us, Captain Chen," Savol said, its mental voice tinged with what might have been respect. "Your species' capacity for adaptation, for seeing possibilities where others see only obstacles, it is remarkable." Ilara nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "It's born of necessity. When your back is against the wall, you either adapt or you die. Humanity has chosen to adapt time and time again. Then let us hope that this adaptation will be enough to save us all," Savol replied. As Ilara prepared to return to her ship and brief her crew on the upcoming mission, she paused to look out a viewport at the star-filled expanse beyond the Nexus. Somewhere out there, the purists were planning their next move, confident in their supposed superiority. But they had underestimated the power of unity, the strength that comes from embracing diversity rather than fearing it. Humanity might be young in galactic terms, but they had brought with them the accumulated wisdom of countless struggles, the unbreakable spirit that had seen them rise from cave-dwelling primates to starfaring explorers. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. The purists thought they were purging weakness from the galaxy. Instead, they had unknowingly awakened its greatest strength, the ability of different species to come together, to innovate, to find solutions that no single race could have conceived alone. As she turned away from the viewport, Ilara's resolve hardened. The coming battle would determine the fate of not just humanity, but every species in the Confederation. It was time to show the galaxy what humans, and the allies they had made, were truly capable of. The final confrontation loomed, and with it, the chance to forge a new future for all sentient beings. Humanity's greatest test awaited, and Ilara Chen was ready to meet it head-on. A new era dawns. The ESS horizon hung in space at the edge of the pulsar's devastating radiation field, its hull reinforced with experimental shielding developed through a collaboration of human ingenuity and alien technology. Beside it, Savol's energy form pulsed with barely contained power, ready to guide them through the treacherous region. Captain Elara Chen stood on the bridge, her crew tense but determined around her. This was it, the culmination of everything they had fought for since that fateful day at the Galactic tournament. "All systems a go, Captain," Lieutenant Patel reported from his station. "The radiation shielding is holding steady." Elara nodded, her voice firm as she addressed her crew and their alien allies via holographic projections. "This is it, everyone. We've tracked the purists to their hidden base within this pulsar field. They think they're safe here, protected by forces of nature that would destroy most ships. But they've underestimated the power of our unity." She paused, looking at each face, human and alien alike. "Today, we fight not just for humanity's place in the stars, but for the very idea that diversity and cooperation are strengths, not weaknesses. The purists want a galaxy of uniformity. We're going to show them the true power of our differences." With a collective cheer, the mission began. Sevol led the way, its energy form creating a wake through the radiation that the horizon could follow. As they penetrated deeper into the pulsar field, the ship's sensors came alive with activity. Multiple contacts ahead, Ensign Rodriguez called out. "Purist ships, heavily armed." Elara's eyes narrowed. "They're not expecting us. Let's use that surprise to our advantage. All hands, battle stations." What followed was a dogfight unlike any in human history. The horizon weaved through streams of deadly radiation, using the pulsar's erratic emissions as cover. Elara's tactical genius shone as she coordinated their attack with the supporting Confederation fleet waiting at the edge of the field. Dr. Patel worked furiously at his station, using the ship's advanced sensors to scan for weaknesses in the purists' defenses. "Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy signature at the heart of their formation. It could be their command center." Elara saw their opportunity. "Sevol, can you clear us a path?" The energy being pulsed with our formation, surging forward to absorb a barrage of enemy fire that would have torn the horizon apart. In its wake, Elara ordered full thrust towards the purist command center. As they approached, a massive space station came into view, its design an unsettling fusion of organic and mechanical elements. By the cosmic core, Lieutenant Patel breathed. "It's not just a station, it's alive." Elara's mind raced, recalling snippets of conversation from their encounter with Shithrak. "It's the ultimate expression of their ideology, a fusion of the most worthy species into a single supreme being." A chilling voice echoed through their communications system. "So, the primitives have found us." Shithrak's familiar hiss carried notes of amusement and disdain. "You're too late. Our evolution is complete. Behold the future of the galaxy." The living station pulsed, and waves of energy washed over the horizon. Systems flickered, and for a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as if all was lost. But then something remarkable happened. The ship's systems not only stabilized, but began to operate at levels far beyond their specifications. Elara looked around in awe as holographic displays shimmered with new information, insights flowing faster than should have been possible. "What's happening?" she asked, amazed. Dr. Patel's eyes were wide with realization. "It's us, Captain. All of us. Somehow, the diversity of our crew, human, Jar, and the other allies we've made, it's allowing us to adapt to the purists' attack in real time. We're evolving faster than their perfect fusion ever could." Elara understood in a flash of clarity. This was the true power of diversity, not just cooperation, but synergy, the ability to become more than the sum of their parts. "All hands," she commanded, her voice ringing with purpose. "Focus your thoughts, your strengths, your uniqueness into our systems. Show them what real unity looks like." As one, the crew poured their essence into the ship. The horizon began to glow, not just with energy, but with possibility. Elara felt as if she could see the connections between all living things, the infinite potential born of countless diverse perspectives coming together. With a thought, she directed this newfound power towards the purist station. Beams of pure possibility lanced out, not destroying, but transforming. The rigid, homogeneous structure of the purist's creation began to shift and change. Testrek's voice came again, but this time filled with awe and fear. What are you doing? This isn't possible." "This is what you never understood," Ilara replied, her voice echoing with the combined wisdom of countless species. "True strength comes not from purity, but from embracing our differences. We don't need to become a single perfect being. We're strongest when we remain unique but united." The energy engulfed the purist station, and for a moment, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a flash of light that outshone the pulsar itself, it was over. Where the purest command had been, a new structure hung in space, organic and mechanical, familiar yet alien, a harmonious blend of countless forms of life and technology. The purest ships surrounding them powered down, their crews awakening to a new reality. As the light faded, Ilara found herself back on the horizon's bridge, the crew looking at each other in wonder. They had glimpsed something profound, a potential within themselves and the galaxy that they had never imagined. In the days that followed, as the Confederation began the long process of healing and rebuilding, the true impact of their victory became clear. The purists' ideology of supremacy and uniformity had been decisively rejected. In its place, a new understanding was born, that the galaxy's greatest strength lay in the vast tapestry of its diverse inhabitants. Ilara stood before the Confederation Council once more, but this time not as an outsider fighting for acceptance. She stood as a symbol of what could be achieved when different species came together, each contributing their unique strengths to a greater whole. "We face a new dawn," she addressed the assembled representatives, her words broadcast across the galaxy. "One where we no longer fear our differences, but celebrate them. Where the challenges we face are met not with division, but with the combined ingenuity of all sentient beings." She paused, looking out at the sea of alien faces, seeing hope and determination reflected back at her. "Humanity is honored to be a part of this grand tapestry of life. We bring with us our adaptability, our creativity, our unquenchable spirit of exploration, and we eagerly look forward to learning from all of you, growing together into something greater than any of us could have imagined alone." As applause filled the chamber, Ilara felt a profound sense of pride, not just in humanity, but in the incredible diversity of life that filled the cosmos. They had faced their greatest challenge and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. The galaxy was entering a new era, one of unprecedented cooperation and discovery, and humanity, young as they were, had played a crucial role in shaping it. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Ilara knew that they would face them together, a united cosmos bound not by uniformity, but by the strength of their beautiful, infinite diversity. As she looked out at the star-filled sky, Ilara Chen smiled. The adventure was just beginning.